Hey, this is Jeff, and we are in downtown Atlanta at a Gary Vaynerchuck book signing.
And this is a episode of the onlinebizshow.com, and what we want to talk
Live
about...
on the road.
Yeah, and Jeff and I had to be quiet. And so now what we want to talk about with you today on today's episode is that you just have to start. You just have to start doing something, like what we did with the video blog on Thanksgiving. We're doing unedited, we're doing no hair and makeup, we're doing just what comes out of our mouth, and that's what you've got to do when you get online.
Sometimes I do my makeup, but the whole point is to start. We were sitting around on Thanksgiving watching the Macy Days Parade and just decided to begin. And here we are live doing one out in a shop where Gary Vaynerchuck is doing a book signing. Got to meet him, chat with him, take a picture. We'll be hearing him talk later. You can do the same thing. You hear me all the time say, go use this stuff. How about go start this stuff?
Well, we're going to be interviewing Gary V next year in the beginning of 2010. We'll be bringing him live. But one of the things about him is if you go back in his video blog, you'll see he was really nervous at first, which was really weird for me because I thought he was always polished and always really self-confident. But he was really nervous. And when you start being your real, authentic self online, it can be really scary. But you just got to do it because the people who will be attracted to you will find you and will want to learn from you.
So just start. Even if, like our good friend Mike Stewart says, you've got a face made for radio, just start, have fun with it, be yourself, and you'll be amazed at the results.
So go use this stuff, and we'll see you on next week's show.
So if you're talking about certain kinds of gardening equipment, they can have affiliate links to retail stores. And then finally, if you have enough of an audience, there's plenty of people that would buy ad space in that sector because a lot of the gardening sites and gardening magazines are still doing quite well because it's a very high profit industry. But it's about having users, right?
Right.
And you know, if you have 3 leaders, it's tough to call Home and Garden and be like, you want to buy some ad space? Sure. How many people are reading it? Great. You know? But fair enough. But and what I really talk about in the book is more about how to get people. And the way to get people is to go and interact with them. I mean, if you don't go home tonight and type in gardening forums and find all the gardening forums there are out there and get involved and become a member and become part of that community, then you're making a huge mistake. Because that's what I mean. I built Wine Library TV when there was no Twitter or Facebook. Twitter wasn't made yet, and Facebook was still a total college play, and I didn't want to be the creepy old guy selling wine to the kids. So I had to stay away from it, and I had to, you know, work forums and other people's blogs, leave comments, and so it's a lot. I mean, like I tweeted today, you know, making a blog post is like taking a shower. It's the first thing you do, and it's the lowest cost of entry to your day. The content you produce is your entry. It's what you do for the other 15 hours, 7, 4, 3 hours. That's the game. Once you make your statement, you got to go find people to listen to it. And that's the problem. People write, and they write, but they don't spend any time going out and networking and bringing people in. And that's by far the biggest thing that I see blogs doing wrong. You should spend, in my opinion, 10 to 20 times, for real, 10 to 20 times more on going in the trenches and interacting with people around your subject matter than how much time you put into your subject matter. Which is probably by necessity why I did one take. 20 minutes, I'm out, let's go. Yes, sir.
You're best known for basically taking the wine industry and turning it upside down. What's your advice to somebody that's not taking $1 million company to a multi-million-dollar company, but somebody who's an entrepreneur or startup, basically bootstrapping themselves and starting with nothing and turning it into something?
Well, I think, you know, there's a lot of principles that work, right? But I think it should be more, let's go specific, because every single situation is different. Here are the things I know. One, you have to love it. When you start at zero, you have to love it so much, you're willing to bleed out of your eyeballs because it is obnoxiously hard. It's ridiculously hard. The first 6 months to a year, really it's exercise, right? It's exercise. Who in here really wants to put in the time and effort to do it? It's hard. I mean, I desperately want to lose some of the weight I put on this tour, but, you know, even the 5 to 7 pounds I want to put off, like this morning I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, nah, I'm not doing those push-ups, I'm tired. You know, it's like, it's hard. And it's really hard in the beginning, and then it becomes a momentum game, right? I would say that if you love it cold, you have to figure out how to afford to do it. That's my first piece of advice. Afford how to do it at the lowest cost of your personal time so that you can put as much time into it as possible. One of the big things I talk to a lot about people with that has never been talked about, like I've never seen people talk about this in a lot of like length. People always think they have like, well, Gary, I get a lot of emails from people that are very well off. Gary, I make $300,000 a year, but I'm miserable. Miserable. I can't go to zero and start talking about golf every day. I'm like, dude, go to 140 then. Go to 70. I mean, there's a lot of people who are making $45,000 a year and working 10 hours a day. The funny part is they could probably get 32 or 28 by working at 7-Eleven and being able to be on the wireless computer behind the register. And I'm not kidding. I mean, that's maybe not nice to the corporation that's hiring you, but put yourself in a position where you don't have to go from 45 to 0. Go from 45 to 28. Eat dollar burgers more often instead, which is not healthy, but I get it. And so really being practical and putting yourself in a position, get roommates. I don't care. See, it comes down to hunger. How hungry are you? How hungry are you? If you're real hungry and you really want it, then you'll go all Rocky Balboa on it. You'll go to the Russian mountains, pick up people, grow that beard. Too many people talk shit. They say they want it. They say they can do it. But when it comes down to the sacrifices that are needed to put in to win, they're not willing to go there. They're not willing to move back in with their parents. They're not willing to find 4 roommates and live like that. They're not willing to eat ramen noodles every day of their lives. So, what do? You get real practical. And you figure out, how can I work on this project 24 hours a day? If you can live at home and you've got no expenses, that's how you can. And then you work backwards. If you can't, well then you can work 6 hours a week and get this and do that. Maybe you're good at poker. I don't care. Whatever you need to do to be able to do it. And that's what I would do. To me, that's the most important step. Because if you love it, and you can figure out practically how to survive in society and do it, you've won. But guess what? What I just painted is a place where so few people want to go. Just so few people. Because they'd rather just do something they don't like, pretend they're going to do it in their mind, because they like the fact that they can sneak in a 32-inch TV screen. They can sneak in a 1-week vacation to some resort. They can, all you can eat. They can, sneak in, the new Nintendo or an iPhone here and there. And they live for these bullshit gadgets in return for not being happy. Breaks my heart.